Welcome to Lunch with the Lord. I'm Pastor Mark. We're in Colossians chapter 4. We're starting verse 1 this lesson. But before we begin, Jeremiah 15:16. Thy words were found, and I did eat them. And thy word was unto me the joy and the rejoicing of my heart. Now, the last two lessons, we've been looking at the six different kinds of people, six different kinds of groups of people that are in a Christian household. And this is referring to back in Paul's time. And this lesson here, we will be getting into the sixth group, and that's the group of the masters. So he says here in verse 1, Masters, give unto your servants that which is just and equal, knowing that you also have a master in heaven. Now, this lesson, we're only going to be dealing with verse 1, so it might be a little bit shorter than normal. But he says here, masters. Now, we see in this verse that Paul tells the masters to do what he tells them what to do for their slaves. Now, remember, the masters that are spoken of here are Christian masters. They're not the unsaved masters and slave owners, but he's talking to Christian masters, Christian slave owners in the Colossian church. And he says, give unto your servants that which is just and equal. Just and equal. You know, slaves had no rights. They were bought in order to work for their master. There were no slave unions for higher pay and for health care. Yet Paul takes the master and the master-servant relationship to a whole new level because of the gospel. As the slave must perform their duties to their master, so also the master owes their duties to the slaves, which is, what are the duties of the master to the slave? To provide food, wages, to provide work, and to do it in a respectable manner. So it's the job of the slave to serve their master, but it's also the job of the master to provide for the slave, a place to live, food and clothes, and work to do. And not only to provide those things, but to provide it in a respectable way as unto the Lord. They are not, the slave is not equal in position, but because they are brothers or sisters in Christ, the master should deal with their Christian servants and actually all their servants as they think God would deal with them. So just because the slave, whether it's a male or female slave, when that slave is a Christian, the master, who is also a Christian, should deal with them as unto the Lord, and they should be respectable unto their slaves. And he says, knowing that you also have a master in heaven. And we're going to read Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 9. And it says here, and you masters, do the same things unto them, forbearing, threatening. Don't threaten. Knowing what? Knowing that your master also is in heaven. Neither is there respect of persons with him. So Paul here is warning these masters on how they deal with their servants. God will treat us as we treat others. Would we like blessings from God's hands? then blessings should come from our hands. If both masters and servants, bosses and employees, do everything as unto the Lord, then there is no problem. But when we do things as unto ourselves, then comparison creeps in. Legalistic expectations creeps in. Frustration with others and other things come between us. So when we do things as unto the Lord, there's blessings. But when we go to work and we serve our boss, whether the relationship of the servant or the worker to the boss or the boss to the worker, when God is not between them, then you got all kinds of negative stuff, all kinds of frustration, comparison, anger, manipulation, and these things can take over in our hearts. The saved employee should not expect special treatment from their saved boss. Neither should the saved boss expect special treatment from his servants. They are both in service to the same master who is in heaven. Both the slave and the master, they have a master in heaven that they're subservient to. And that master, the chief master, he sees all things. So Paul here is warning, not only warning the slaves, but he's warning the masters too. And he's telling the slaves, whatever you do, do it as unto God, do it heartily. Serve your master. But when you serve your master like you're serving the Lord. Do it as unto God. And then he tells the masters, you respect. He says here, you give unto your servants that which is just and equal. You give unto them food and clothes. You give them a place to live. And not some shabby place either. You give them a place to live. You treat them. You treat your slaves as if it was Jesus Christ himself serving you. He says, knowing that you have a master in heaven. If you're a master, if you're a boss, and you're thinking you're going to take advantage of those people under you, you think twice, because you have a master in heaven, and he sees it all. And there comes a reward, whether it's a positive reward or a negative reward. Something's coming to the masters. And I think we want blessings. If we want blessings from God, well, then blessings need to come from our hands. All right, we're going to continue in chapter 4, verse 2, next lesson. But until then, walk with the Lord. I know he walks with you.